Day. If you're a Patriots fan, if you're a Celtics fan, if you're a Bobby Manning fan, especially if you're a Luke Cornett fan, it's a big day for you.
First Luke mentioned 14 seconds in, and it wasn't me. The exclamation point in the corner. I'm looking at the shot chart right now. Only corner 3 from Boston in that right corner, Luke Cornett.
That's what he's known for. That's what he's there for. That's what you got him on the team. It is interesting. Again, it's going to be hard to find a lot of themes from tonight's game. This was a good get-right game against a bad team. One that I know, Bobby, a couple days ago, you're like, well, don't sleep on the Wizards. They're not that bad. They looked bad tonight. But again, so it always comes down to it. And we had a lot of these in the second half of the season. How much do you think was just the Wizards being ice cold offensively in the first half versus the Celtics actually doing some things right on defense and clamping down a little bit?
I think it probably was the example that you were looking for of their defense bringing their opponents into tough jump shots and hoping that number that's been hit against them so far, it comes down to earth.
Right.
They've loved the expected field goal percentage that we talk about against them, and it was sky high, the actual field goal percentage so far, because of Chicago's hot shooting and Cleveland's especially, and the different teams that have gotten hot against them so far. So this was a Washington team. I think I was tracking the jump shots through the first 2 quarters there that only got to the rim inside the restricted zone there 3 times through a quarter and a half. So they dropped a little less deep in this one. I feel like the centers got their hands on some of those mid-range shots a little bit better, whether it was Horford, whether it was Luke, who we'll talk about later. And overall, the defense, I think, just looked a little bit more connected. But yeah, it was a nice cold night from Beal. Others getting floaters off around the rim. But I feel like it was those intermediate shots that you're looking to force against opponents that got the Wizards cold. It didn't look like they were very good at those shots.
They weren't, and again, I mean, they're tougher shots than they look. But the problem is, I mean, the Celtics have been given those. They've been given wide open looks here. Were those looks more challenged tonight, or Washington just missed them?
A little bit more.
I don't think that much more. I'm not trying to diminish it.
Yeah,
a little bit.
No, but that's what they want to give up in general. If they're going to give up rim shots, threes, or in between, they're going to go with in between. And so far, that's where teams have killed them, and it came back to earth down the night.
Right. Yeah, and that's that. So I guess that's kind of it's a pick your poison sort of scenario with this team. And again, we've talked about it. I'm not sure how much the team has kind of divulged in there, or how much Joe has told you. He's not very loquacious, but how much is just exactly not wanting there to be too big a burden on Al to do a lot of switching with him and having him out there playing the perimeter and burning him out, playing these deep drop coverages, allowing people to get into the kind of that 12 to 8 foot range and make their bones from there. And they have been getting smoked, through the last several games, but yeah, less so tonight.
Yeah, that's my suspicion, is that part of it is decreasing the load on Horford, and that's something they're looking to do, obviously resting him in the 3rd game of the season against Orlando there. So I think that's a small part of it, but I also think it is the analytics. I think that they really want to take that rim area away, and through the Cleveland game, before that Cleveland game where Cleveland actually did get some shots off around the rim, they had the best opposing field goal percentage in the league up to their opponents when it came to protecting the rim. Now, teams weren't shooting a lot there. That's part of it too. You're decreasing the amount of looks teams are getting in there. But really, the only shots that Washington got off against them point blank at the rim were the putbacks. And they had a few moments where they were giving up offensive rebounds in this one. But overall, those haven't killed them so far in total. There were the timely ones in Cleveland that beat them bad there. But overall, they're doing a pretty good job deterring opponents. And that's where I'm going to get to Luke. Is he stuffing guys in there? No. Is he Dikembe Mutombo? He's got that height and that length, but he's not necessarily that imposing of a presence in there. But he does deter drivers. There were a couple times in this game where drivers went in on him, saw a crowd, and backed out, and they threw the ball up for some jump shots there. And that's exactly what I think the Celtics want to do defensively. And they don't have a better option in there when you look at the centers in terms of guys to play that. Even Al Horford, as good and versatile as he is defensively, isn't really a shot blocker or a shot deterrent at this point in his career inside. You're getting a lot defensively out of those Luke minutes, I feel like. And even on that shaky game on Friday where it kind of slipped in the second half of that unit, he still posted a 100 defensive rating in a game where they gave up 132. So the defense is benefiting from him being out there. And I think at this point, he's your backup center, right?
Yep. Yeah. I mean,
Apology cam, John.
Yeah. Look, exactly. I mean, look, if you're dying of thirst, you'll drink your own urine to stay alive, and that's basically what's happening. Like, this isn't an optimal scenario, but again, this is a real conversation. Okay, a real conversation. What do you do between these three not so great options? Vonleh is the fan favorite. He's an energy guy. He's a former lottery pick. How effective is he truly? It's still yet to be seen. I think he ranges from okay to really bad. I do think it was pretty telling who didn't see the floor tonight at all, which was Blake.
Yeah.
And I joked about the signing when they made it, but my real feeling, and I think you share it, is this guy's cooked, and has been for like 4 years. So I don't know why people keep rolling Blake Griffin out, hoping that there's going to be some version of him that's existed. It's some space and time in the universe, and have that appear. I know there's a veteran presence. Maybe there's some. I don't know what he does, but I think he's unplayable.
Yeah, I don't think he should be part of the rotation at all. And that's the tricky part of signing a guy like that. I know everybody looked at the free agent market over the summer and was like, Aldridge is out there and Blake and all these different names, Dwight Howard. The problem with bringing in a guy like that is, especially for a coach like Joe, you're probably looking at Blake Griffin and the veterans in that room and saying, like, all right, we got to find a little something for this guy. I know he came in amicable and said, all right, I got to earn a role here. I'm not necessarily looking for minutes or anything like that. But for him to be in this position now where it looks like the best course of action is to not play him at all, that's tricky, especially when he's on a guaranteed contract. It's not like they can just let him go easily if he falls out of this rotation on this team for the long run here. Like, they're non-guaranteed or partially guaranteed guys we talked about last week are Cornette and Justin Jackson. And, you can certainly let Jackson go if you need to. But what I'm talking about is if Blake has no minutes at all, what do you really do? Hopefully he's cool with that, and he's just along for the ride in that veteran presence there.
He's clearly cool with it because that's been him. I mean, this is Captain Buyout, over the last few years. Like, he's pretty used to teams no longer needing his services, and whether they just kind of, set him free or just keep him on the bench for a little bit, break glass in case of emergency. He's used to not being counted on. So I think he gets his role, and I do think he can handle it. I just don't know what he does. So yes, of all of the people out there, if you're going to spell Al and you want to go big, you have no choice but to play Luke, but it's certainly not an optimal scenario. But this conversation is going to continue. Look, we said we thought they would do that. It would be lineup specific, matchup specific, right? Certain teams, you feel like you need more size. You need somebody just simply taller. Yeah, that's going to be Luke games. There's going to be other games where you can get away with playing small ball and play Grant as your bench 5 all game long and live. And those are the games where you'll see more Grant, more more Simmons and Simmons. Jesus, Blake.
Ben Simmons is on your mind.
Yeah, I'm thinking of kind of useless, washed up people that you're trying to figure out.
So I agree with that. It's a matchup game, and the tricky, this is almost a preview rotation-wise of what they're going to face when Rob comes back. Because look at Friday's rotation where Brogdon plays a little bit less, White plays a little bit less, Smart plays a little bit more, and Cornette gets that extended almost 30-minute run in that game. So he's filling out the rotation spot that those guards typically are. They were going more one big with Grant in this game. It was good to have him back. I thought he had a strong game. But when Rob comes back and he's Cornette, not actually, but in that spot in the rotation, you're going to have to choose between Rob or possibly Horford and your big array of guards in the backcourt there. And I actually talked to Brogdon after practice after that game on Saturday, and he said it is kind of a challenge. Someone's going to get displaced in that rotation if they're going to go double big on a certain night. And who's that going to be? They're going to have to figure that out. And that's a real challenge for Missoula right now is hitting those right buttons in a game. They're going deeper into the bench, which I like in this game, getting their starters a little bit more rest. It feels like they have a deep, versatile bench that they can actually make use of on a night like this. So
here's the thing. I think you have to go into it and you just got to live with it. And you certainly have to go into your bench against the Washingtons of the world. Are you going to play a shorter rotation with a quicker, with people on a shorter leash against, the top teams in the East? Absolutely. But I want to see Hauser out there playing 15, 18 minutes a game. I want him to get stints in the first half and the second half. I don't want him to be forgotten about because he fills a need. There's a need that's shooting. We've talked about this all last year. You got to give up something to get something. You're going to be imperfect at times out there. Right now, without Rob in there, you can't go 1 through 8, with everybody being able to play the type of defense you want and being able to hold their own offensively on the court. You need some space. You need some shooting. You've got players you can bring in there that'll give you that, and you'll lose a little something elsewhere, but that's fine. Again, bench, they're on the bench. Not everybody's going to be flawless coming off that bench. So I want to see Hauser minutes. The big conversation being had, and you want to see some backup big step up and be able to take those minutes as well. And obviously Grant's going to be playing big minutes off the bench. He's going to be up till close to 30 most games because I think he has to be on this team right now, the way things are constituted. But the big conversation, Bobby, is kind of around the 3-guard rotation, and how they're choosing to play that. You had Marcus Smart coming off one of his worst all-around games, and Malcolm Brogdon tonight playing extremely well coming in off the bench, still playing fewer minutes than Marcus. I do
wonder if that's an injury thing, though, with the back thing popping up.
It's possible he was questionable heading into the game, but a lot of people here are kind of, wondering. And again, this isn't one of those games where you really needed one thing versus another, but Marcus was Marcus again. I think he definitely got the memo. He didn't shoot as much. He still jacked 5 threes, but it wasn't 9 or 11 or whatever it was the other night. Still didn't shoot the ball particularly well. Kind of played a regular Marcus Smart style game, which is fine. You'll take that from him. But Brogdon was outstanding coming off the bench there with that second unit.
Yeah, he bailed them out a bunch.
A lot.
Through a real lull in the middle of this game. What did they go? I think 4 for 20 between the end of the second quarter into the third. They blow that 24, I think 23, 24-point lead. They get it down to 9, the Wizards did. And he came in with that second unit in the third quarter there and really went on a tear. Good shot making, good activity with Luke. I found it interesting how they guarded Luke. Like, they collapsed on him at one point and he found Grant for a 3. And, he found Brogdon a few times in that high handoff. I think teams are eventually going to adjust and just not guard him. You saw he got that 3-second violation inside on the dump off there. But overall, this bench has good chemistry together. And this is the real strength, I think, to having Brogdon on the second unit is he is a strong player with the ball in his hands. I know he's elite off the ball offensively in terms of shot making and cutting and movement and all that, but he got so much better as a pick and roll player in Indiana. He really got comfortable scoring with the ball in his hands, and he had been a little slow up to this point in terms of actual scoring and putting the ball in the net. Passing when setting the table with a real strength through the first 4 or 5 games there. So it was nice to see him break out and have one of those 20-point games where he's hitting shots, getting to the free throw line, finishing at the rim, all that different kind of stuff.
Yep. Just want to let everybody know we got Bobby Manning at the Garden, Josue Pavon coming. I'm manning the chat here. If I've missed any super chats, I do apologize, but I do thank you as well. Also want to let you guys know about our sponsors. Again, as always, Athletic Greens, one of our tried and true sponsors here at the Garden Report. It's a product that all of us take and enjoy, and it's great. It really is. One-stop shopping for all your health needs, 75 vitamins and minerals in 1 scoop of water. That's all you need to do beginning of the day. Costs you basically $3 a day instead of having to go out and get a bunch of different pills and supplements. Lifestyle friendly, diet friendly, virtually no sugar. So it suits whatever it is that you're into right now. A ton of testimonials from athletes and medical professionals. This is a climate friendly company. 2020 AG purchased carbon credits, support projects protecting old growth of rainforest, donated 1.2 million meals to kids in 2020. So it's a company that cares about the environment and the world we live in as well. So it's another added benefit there. So take want to tell you again, reclaim your health, arm your immune system, convenient daily nutrition, 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens giving you a free 1-year supply of immune supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase if you visit that website right there, athleticgreens.com/garden. Again, athleticgreens.com/garden. Check that out. Get a subscription, get your health on track, support the environment, support the world, and get yourself a phenomenal t-shirt, which we will send to you. I think we actually sent
by the end of the year.
Nope, we sent the first wave out. We did.
Wow. All right.
We
Does that
did.
include me?
No, you don't get one. You need one?
I mean, I think it's fitting.
I think.
This is a phenomenal game.
I think it's appropriate.
Yeah,
it's a
here's the
good
thing
one. It's
about
a
the
good one.
Wizards.
You need these. You're supposed to have these games that there's nothing really to talk about. You just come out and you beat the Wizards. They came out. They're flying early. Everybody's hitting their shots. I love hot first quarter Tatum, by the way. Love that.
Yes.
Yeah.
What a jump shooting, though. And Josue's been big on this. He'll be joining us in just a second here. They shoot the ball a ton. You see the first couple looks out of halftime, like 6 jump shots. Start the game, it's all pull-up threes. You had one look from Brown driving baseline in the early portion of that first quarter. So they're living and dying by jump shots quite a bit now, almost similar to those Steven years. I think there's a lot of Steven similarities on this team cropping up. You don't really have a big you can throw it in to get looks at the rim, and I know they want to cut out mid-rangers probably. We talk about the defensive way that they're looking on that. I doubt they're trying to put up a lot of mid-rangers offensively either. So they're looking for those kick-out threes quite a bit. They're getting good looks there, but you also end up on a night where Marcus Smart's shooting poorly again out there. You went a little bit cold after that early run. Brown finishes 2 of 7 outside.
47 of your 79 field goal attempts are threes,
Yeah.
So, I mean, you are launching back there today.
This whole season, I feel like they've been close to 50% of their looks coming from 3.
This is way over 50 tonight. So
what would Jimmy say? Horford's 75% of his shots or higher have come from 3. So a lot of pick and pop, a lot of drive and kick. Not much activity around the rim from this group outside of Jaylen Brown and transition looks. That transition really helps them. They were elite in that first half, I thought, finishing on the run, forcing steals. So that they're gonna have to make up for some of their offensive deficiencies in different ways. And I don't know if you caught the pressers on Saturday out of practice.
Yep.
Malcolm talking pretty forcefully about how they're a little bit too focused on offense.
Yeah, and it's actually hurting
their defense. Yeah. So that was the most forceful kind of call out of their approach and
what's your read on that? Was that a I didn't view it as a call out as much as offense is what was broken last year. At least that's what seemingly cost the team the finals. So naturally, there was a great deal of emphasis placed on improving the flaws on the offense by moving the ball a little bit more, picking up the pace, which again, we saw right out of the gate. We saw it in the preseason. The emphasis on fixing those things was clearly A1A for this team. And you saw it. Bobby, we said it immediately in the preseason. We love this pace. They were just taking it and going. And it carried over in the first couple of games. Then they got into some bad habits again offensively. But you're right. The defense suffered like crazy. So I don't know that it was a Joe doesn't care about defense sort of comment. It was just we might have gotten a little complacent thinking the defense.
No, it might not be calling out. It might not be calling out the game plan. It could be calling out their approach as players.
Yes, we might have just thought we were all set with the defense thing, and it's not. It requires work. It requires effort. It requires the same level of focus. And that's again, we keep beating on the same drum. But this was the fear that Jimmy and I had with this team. Going from one year to the next without adding offensive firepower, you're basically asking them to come back out and just play balls out defense for 82 games in the playoffs like they did at the end of last year and into the postseason, which is really hard to do. You're asking superstars to do that,
Yeah, and then on top of it, if we're talking about call-outs early, Joe with his first big one out of practice that day saying that they have to learn how to win again. And then, he got asked to clarify that, I believe today or, later that day. It was after the loss that he said that. And then he got asked to clarify that on Saturday. And he said, habits aren't necessarily going to carry over from year to year. So he's seeing something right now. I'm sure Brogdon's comments stemmed from his approach in that practice or the film session that they went through on Saturday. And they aren't happy with the effort, the intensity internally on defense right now. And it got better here today, I thought. Washington missed a ton of shots, but I do feel like they were there. I feel like they're contesting a lot of looks. That's something I think our good friend Greeny was talking about on Celtics Beat, the numbers there. So they're moving in the right direction on that end now.
I agree with what you said, Bobby. They're giving the shots they want other teams to take, but the teams are making them. They were making them at an absurd clip, and so that is their defense is working the way it's supposed to. It just hasn't provided results. They are, as you said, they were contesting more shots and they were trying to defend the three and give up those mid range. They were a little too close and a little too uncontested. You still have to challenge. You give up, but they can't be free throws.
And we talk about rebounding too. Rebounding essentially cost you that Cleveland game when you look at the fourth quarter. Like those 2-1s from LeVert were ginormous swing plays and forcing overtime, and then you get in overtime and you fell apart. So that's an early costly win on the loss due to rebounding late in that game. That's another area where it's just giving effort, being locked in, all the different things we talk about when it comes to the focus on the defensive end for this team. And you have a lot of different guys, I think, who are playing up positions, who have to challenge bigger players. And that's just going to take a lot of will from this group that is coming out of championship level play into preseason play and these weekend Sunday afternoon games against the Wizards. Like, you're gonna have to bring intensity on that end. They finally did it today. I thought good steals. Those 2 early momentum plays from Smart were big deals, and then you had Tatum ripping the ball up from Porzingis. So that's the kind of force and resistance that I felt like this defense gave teams last year. Like, it looked hard to play against the Celtics. It hasn't early this year. It looked a little bit harder today.
Yeah, it looked hard. And so again, there's more than one way to win. You don't always have to, have a 90 defensive rating or whatever it was during that stretch that they had last year. But it was amazing because again, it looked like nobody could, like I say it all the time, it looked like they had 7 guys out there. But just being able to score or get to your spots or do what you want to do offensively with a little bit more ease makes life easier for them again. So again, I like some of the improvements on offense, but they have to defend a little better. You have to look at Bradley Beal tonight, Bobby. Again, I don't know if it's good defense, bad offense, but all I can think of when I'm seeing Beal is I can't believe the amount of time we obsessed with trading, Jalen for him, which again, I never really understood. I always thought
Who did that?
But I never thought it was anything more than a lateral move. That's what I didn't get. The idea of adding him to Tatum and Brown made sense, but this just trade Brown and picks and stuff for Beal, like you're talking about him being Kevin Durant, was always an insane conversation to me. Like the idea that Beal was a level so high above Brown that you would trade Brown and a bunch of stuff to get him never made sense to me. And now it just seems like even less sense.
Yeah,
yes, we all know who it is. We don't have to say it.
Especially when you're looking at a guy who's less forceful physically here. I think guys, bigger wings getting into him affected him in this game. The big center in the middle and that drop that we talked about at the beginning of the show, he's not able to get those lanes to the rim or backline cuts, things he really likes to do. He shot poorly in this one too, certainly. No. So that's just an off night from him going 0 of 11. But you make it tough on a guy like that, a smaller guard, guy who's coming off a wrist injury, missing a bunch of time last year. He looked off in this one. I haven't looked at his numbers overall to start this season, but I don't think he's been great so far, at least compared to what he used to be in the past, a 30-point per game scorer.
Josue.
What's up, fellas?
What's going on in press conference land? Are they done or still rolling?
I'm heading over there now. Going to pick up the locker room.
Yeah, Bobby's going to pick up the rest of it. But yeah, it's just Joe Mazzulla. Obviously a very happy head coach right now. Says the Celtics, they fought. They showed effort on the defensive end, and he likes threes. He likes math. That's what he said to start off, talking about the obviously the 23 points that these guys got, but more importantly, how open these guys were, and how when you have a detail on defense and when you put forth the type of effort that they did in important stretches, that's what happens on the opposite end. You get these open looks. So he was very happy to see his team do that.
Good stuff. We're still rolling on the pressers back there, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, good stuff. So we'll hear from more players. Bobby's going to jump in there as well. So that's good. That's what Mazzulla said. Overall defensive effort. This was the question we asked at the beginning of the show, Josue. You're there, and you got to talk to Coach. Get a feeling that they tried to man up a little bit more tonight after kind of their embarrassing, defensive performance against Cleveland, or was this just a matter of the Wizards just being putrid offensively? Because we were talking about it.
It's a little bit of both.
They're giving up the same caliber of shot, right? They're trying to give up that kind of mid-range and live and die by it. And today just nothing was falling for the Wizards, it felt like. But I don't know if you felt like the pressure was a little bit higher or they were defending those shots a little bit more.
I think they were, in particularly with the backcourt, especially Bradley Beal. I thought that the way they defended Bradley Beal was awesome. I mean, Bradley was sort of – his approach to start was just trying to get other guys going. But once the Celtics got out to that big lead, I feel like the Celtics also – continued the intensity defensively on Bradley Beal. He was able to get open here and there on switches, but he was just ice cold. Couldn't find his shot. Didn't make a field goal until the second half. So I think that's a big part of it. But yeah, to your point, I mean, this team, they showed that they're significantly better than the Washington Wizards. I think that's for sure. That's one thing. But also they showed that if they really zero in on particular guys, especially in the backcourt, that they're able to do something like that, which I honestly was worried about after seeing what happened against the Cleveland Cavaliers. I mean, two guys in the backcourt got going in a hurry, and it just seemed like they couldn't slow that type of scorer down. So it was good to see the way they defended Bradley Beal. I think it's encouraging.
Yeah. The other topic, I might as well get your take when Bobby's not on here, with
the
all
Luke thing,
with all of his propaganda. But to be fair, this is, again, you're looking for the best of, you have three not great options really coming off the bench for bigs. You have Vonleh, you have Blake. Outside of Grant, obviously. And then you have Cornette. One or two of those guys probably has to play, some minutes for this team. You can't get by without it. It looks like Cornette's edging ahead. And look,
I agree with
I'm
that.
not a Cornette fan, but between those three, I don't know if I can argue that that's not the right call.
I'm still a Vonleh guy. I
like Vonleh too, but I just
maybe
feel
I got
like
the. Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm still rocking the preseason goggles, but I still like his potential.
Yeah. Right. He's got the energy. He's got that fan favorite sort of thing going.
Right.
But I don't know.
Right.
I don't know if he's as effective.
I also think it's a little bit of wishing that they had something like that in the playoffs or the finals, right? I think maybe that's masking my judgment here when we talk about that particular matchup. But look, that doesn't mean I'm completely against Cornette. I mean, that's one thing I wanted to emphasize Friday night. I'm not against Cornette minutes. I just don't like when he flirts with the 30-minute mark. And I understand Grant was out. That's a big reason why that happened, in that matchup against Cleveland. But an overtime game, I just think there was particular matchups where when you can't stop the backcourt, when you got two guys are going off the way they did in Cleveland, against the Celtics, combined for 82 points. I just think Vonleh was ideal for those switches, right, for defending the perimeter. But I mean, between the three of those guys, they still have to find a way to limit themselves with the fouling. I mean, I think that's a thing that's going to continue to rear its ugly head, especially against top tier teams. That wasn't the case this time around, even though Cornette did stack up 3 fouls pretty quickly. But I like his potential. I mean, don't get me wrong. I just don't. Defensively, he worries me a bit. But he put together a good game today. The effort was there, especially with his team needs the rebounding. He created a couple second chance opportunities. So, I mean, he's there. I'm with you though. I'm still a Vonleh guy, but maybe Cornette can prove me wrong within the next couple of weeks. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, the 3-pointer, the 3-pointer, didn't help matters tonight because Bobby's just glowing right now. But I don't know between those two. I think we have. I think we have decided.
Joe. Yeah,
I'm
look.
I'm far from convinced. Like I said,
left.
Yeah. I know. I'm not convinced. I'm just saying I don't know. I don't know that there's a better option right now, and it's pretty scary. But I do think we all agree that Blake might not play ever again, or maybe shouldn't play ever again.
Yeah, they're gonna. I don't know. I feel like he's gonna be buried in the bench for a bit unless something happens again. Unless somebody's out for injury or something, or you'll see him get on the floor. But yeah, I mean, he got his shot. I don't think he's doomed for the rest of the year. But right now, it seems like the main beneficiary is Luke Cornette. He's making the most of it.
Yeah, we definitely like the Hauser minutes tonight. I think that's something that you got to live with. And I like his energy. Like I said, I haven't seen that many stretches where you're like, get him off the floor, get him off the floor. He's killing you defensively. If he's out there, he's a threat to score anytime he gets the ball. I love him out there in a lineup that has other shooters, and just give him some space, let other guys handle the ball and just swing it to him. I'm shocked when those things don't go in. That's a great weapon to have. I don't know why there's games where we forget about where they forget about him. I'd be playing him regardless, because there's no one else. I mean,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
There's no one else on the team that does this. I mean, he's almost automatic.
And it's been so long, man. I mean,
right?
We talked about it before the year started. It's like, I don't want to go back to Ray Allen, but I mean, has there been anyone like not close to Ray, but just someone that you could rely on from behind the arc that comes in, whether off the bench or he's a starter? I mean, who's the last person? I mean, it's just been so long, and I think they're just going to ease. They're still easing him into it. It's a long season. Obviously, they would love to have a weapon like that in the postseason. So I love this, ease him into it, see what he can handle. And he's passing every single test right now. I mean, he's passing with flying colors. He looks like a second or third year guy. And, even though he isn't a rookie, it's just someone who doesn't have a whole lot of miles on, NBA experience. And he's looked like he's just seasoned so much throughout this past summer. It's significant for sure.
Yeah. Yep. Other takeaways from tonight. I mean, again, Tatum coming out hot was great. Your thought. I mean, we forget about Tatum and Brown when they have these ho-hum, mid to low 20s games and blowouts where they just didn't really need to do much late because the game was in hand. Just overall, when the game did matter some, your thoughts on how those guys played.
They played well. Honestly, they rode. I mean, look. I was giving Joe Mazzulla a lot of flack about the whole timeout thing, but he called it a timely timeout in the second half. It was down to a single digit
was
lead.
That the 16-2 run or whatever it was at that point?
Yes. Yeah. First it started off with a 6-0 run. It forced Washington to call a timeout, and that's what you want to do. That's how you feel the momentum shift. And the Celtics just never let go, of that momentum from that point forward. All of a sudden, it's a 25-point game. So. I like that. I think it does help a long way. I'm still that guy who says, look, yeah, I want to see your players go out there and figure it out on their own. But when the bleeding starts to get a bit, scary, when you start thinking, okay, maybe they're gonna blow another, huge lead, I think that's a good time to call a timeout, and that's exactly what he did. So I mean, that helped them because I just think they need that sort of just take a breather. Obviously, I mean, not just for physical reasons, but mentally. I think these guys still need that. They need to sort of work their way back into being that team that they were last year. So this is a step in that direction for sure. This win.
Which Celtics do you prefer? Do you prefer run and gun, score 125 Celtics and hold your breath, hope the other team doesn't score 130? Or do you like the clamp down Celtics from last year?
Clamp down Celtics from last year. No question. And I thought that's why someone like Malcolm Brogdon should have played a lot more in that Friday night game. But I mean, yeah. I digress. I'll let go of it. I think this is the last time I'll talk about that game. But and look what he did today. Look what he did today. Just going on just his presence changes things on both ends. And I feel like these 20 plus point performances, he could do this every night if he wanted to, honestly. But he's just trying to find his way. He's trying to be his beneficiary, be that guy to help every single body, every one of his teammates as he adjusts into his new team. But I thought he was terrific today.
No, he was awesome. And again, our chat's filled with this already. I mean, this was not hard to predict, but I talked about this before the season. We're going to be about 5, 6, 7 games in, and everyone's going to be like, we're going to be about 5, 6 games in, and the dude Smart's going to come off the bench conversation is going to start. It's all over the place already.
I know. It's going to happen. It's going to happen for sure. That debate will happen. But as long as these two finish the games, right? I mean, that's what they were talking about on media day. Malcolm Brogdon was like, man, we're going to be together. We're going to be the best defending backcourt in the NBA. And I still like that energy. I want to see more of that. I want to see him closing these games out. I mean, he's such a difference maker.
Why are people dogging on my hat? Because it's pink-ish?
Are they? I didn't see.
Yeah, I get some flack every once in a while. It's
pink
hat. I'm a girl dad. It's my yeah.
That too.
Yeah, but that's not why I have it. It's because it's cool. Because I look good. Because it looks good.
If it said "girl dad" on it, they would love it. It's all about the sayings.
Yeah. Question Bobby. Oh, Kess, I'll hit Bobby with that question without. Guys, we take some questions for you if you want here, and you don't have to super chat to get yourselves up on the screen. Anything you want to talk about again? Kind of like a ho hum victory. Oh crap,
Someone. What happened?
I'll be okay. You talk for a second.
I
pulled my power cord.
Oh, okay. Someone just said that's the that's the rich Cape Cod look. The hat, I guess. Kind of. You got some khaki shorts on? You got the khaki shorts going?
I like my vacations. I like to take my vacations when I can. This is summer. What do? We go like 10 months a year with the Boston sports scene. You got basically, a little sliver of June. If your team makes the finals, you got a little sliver of June, and then 3 weeks of July until the Patriots start again, and that's it. Okay,
that's it.
I'm gone. I'm pink hatting it all freaking, for that whole month. You won't see me anywhere else.
Plus, we get what three good months of hot weather in Boston. I mean,
I know. I'm gone. Phone's off. That's that's the few times where I get that screen alert where they're like, your screen time has decreased 700%. I'm like,
yeah. You're like, up.
It's that's the only period of the year where it goes down. So
isn't it depressing when you get those stats? You're like, man, did I use this phone that much? Like, am I that busy? And then it has the chart of like what time you're using it and stuff. It's just like up and down, up and down. It's like, whoa.
It's pretty
I
sad.
need to sleep more. Yeah, I need to get more sleep.
When I see one and they're like, you were on it 15 hours a day, I was like, was I even awake that many hours? Oh my God. How's it possible? I'm like getting up and doing it in my sleep.
How do they know that we're sleeping?
I don't know.
We're going to get into a weird conversation. Let me stop.
No, I don't know what they know. All right, what else do you like from this game? Again, it was, it's just one of those where like, I'm kind of waiting for Bobby to get back up to the locker room and get some closing thoughts because we don't have a ton more to talk about here.
I know. I want to see what these guys said in the locker room. I mean, I want to hear, especially Tatum and Brown, man. These wins can't get old, right? For Celtics fans. I mean, seeing these guys just go off the way they did, even in that first half, it just shows how dominant they can be offensively. But if this defense doesn't get back to where it was, man, I just don't think this team is going to be, that same team in the NBA Finals. It's going to take some time, though.
It's again, everything we see about it is it's spin your wheels, hold the line, beat the Wizards of the universe, play all of the good teams to 500, and stay afloat until you get Rob back, and then pray the old Rob isn't. Yeah, pray the old Rob isn't dead forever. That's the big wild card is, what it looks like when he comes back and if it's the same. If it is, you start talking about different ceilings and different styles of play and different things happen. But, again, you mentioned Tatum and Brown. Without them, I mean, they should be able to carry you against these teams on their own just by doing what they're doing. Best stat from the night, one of my favorite was I don't know how far it went, but I know at least the first 12 shots of the game went to Tatum and Brown.
Yes. Yeah,
which is great. Which also means Marcus got the memo.
You think that's what it was? Because he was the first one to finally take a shot. That wasn't the first Celtics player.
He's like, can I shoot yet? Like, no. Yeah.
He's like, it's the 6-minute mark, guys. Can we please? Yeah, I thought that was funny. I mean, it wasn't just them scoring, but they were the only ones who had attempts almost towards the end of the first quarter until Marcus broke the streak. I like it. Hey, these superstars are hot. Keep giving them the ball. I mean, Tatum knocking down threes. I saw this before the game too. I posted a video on Celtics CLNS, and I'm like, man, I know sometimes I say this a little too much throughout last year, but I was like, Tatum is locked in right now. And then, as soon as the game started, he hits 3 threes in a row, and then Jalen's like, wait a minute, let me get in here too. And I love that. Keep that going. Keep that energy going.
Keep it going indeed. One of the things we're going to talk about, which I'm not going to talk about yet because I'll give Bobby a bite at the apple, is just some of the other stuff going around the NBA. Hard to not mention Kyrie. We will discuss that as well. I'm very, very curious what happens there just because of the ripple effects. And it's not because I'm not Kyrie obsessed at all. In fact, he bores me. The reality is, even though I think, it's potentially dangerous, some of the stuff that he does, but at the end of the day, he just bores me. But the ripple effects, again, Brooklyn, instead of being, what's that?
I definitely got a take on that too. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, and we'll wait on Bobby, but
Yeah.
there's a good chance that between Irving, Durant, and Nash, none of those guys make it to Christmas, or make it into the second half of the season, which means which means Durant could be on the move again, which could all of a sudden bring up different conversation. I'm not having the Jalen conversation all over again, but it is really interesting right now. Just friggin' bananas if you're looking around the league and Brooklyn's 1-5 and the Lakers are 0-5. My goodness,
Yeah. I think that's what makes it worse, this whole thing. And it's like it's a distraction. It's got to be. You got Josue putting out quotes out there, and if you're the Celtics or if you're the teams at the top of the East, you look at I'm sure they're thinking to themselves like, man, anyone got any issues they want to get out there? You want to make sure everyone's like on the same page, because look, some people in that Nets locker room, they have to be wondering what's going on. I don't agree with this. Like, I don't agree with you doing this, but then you having the opportunity to speak on it, to explain yourself, and you get all defensive. And I just thought that it was a good opportunity for him to explain himself, and he just ruined it. He Kyrie'd it. He Kyrie'd the situation, and I think that's why you're bored, John. I think that's why he bores you, because he doesn't give you anything that's heavy enough to you can say, oh, so that's why you did what you did. He doesn't do that. He just doesn't do that.
No, it's surface level faux intellectualism from a guy who doesn't read. He just watches YouTube clips, and that's what he knows, and we get it. Like, that's fine. I mean, that's where he gets his information. That's what he's about. And beyond that, he's just he doesn't so I think somebody put it on Twitter fairly effectively, that he doesn't want dialogue because he's bad at dialogue.
He's afraid to get corrected, John.
He doesn't know enough. Again, he's spent his entire life talking at people and expecting them to listen, not having back and forth and exchange of ideas. That's not what he's here to do. So nothing is surprising about what he's done here. But what is interesting is, again, whether his teammates think it's grave or not, they're definitely going to get sick of it to the point where some weird stuff's going to happen in Brooklyn, and I don't know how much longer Durant is going to be there, and we're going to start that whole conversation again.
Oh, for sure. Or there's someone that's going to think, you know what? Hey, Kyrie, can I talk to you about? You know what I mean? They're going to say, let's have a one-on-one. Why don't you? You know what I mean? Like, I want to know what's your logic behind this. And it's a distraction. It's the last thing this team needs. This is supposed to be the season where Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving show their true colors. All mandates, all things that could have disrupted the flow of this is to this wayside now. Kyrie's able to play in all 82 games, at least for now. And they're off to a terrible start. And then this is the way you want to stir the conversation. I just don't get it. I don't get the logic behind it. It's interesting because a couple of years ago we talked about how right after he left and he went to Brooklyn, he left Boston, and sometimes I always wondered, like, if basketball is the number one thing that Kyrie cares about, and I don't mean that in a bad thing. I don't mean like, oh, basketball has to be your life. Obviously, we know that that's not the case for a lot of people, but I'm like, is it a top priority though? And I don't think he knows what his top priority is. I think he's still trying to figure this thing out, honestly.
No, Jimmy and I are both certain he's trying to get canceled. Because then that's what Jimmy and I believe, that he's trying to get canceled because then he can play the martyr card, because his favorite thing is to play the victim. And that's what he did last night in the press conference. And screw it. I do think we have a clip. I'll try to tee it up.
But it's not going to be like a Colin Kaepernick situation if that's what he's trying to go for.
Look, if you truly believe
that's not what he'll be remembered for.
But it doesn't matter, because in his own mind, he will. He believes he's being persecuted for his beliefs. He believes he knows the truth and everybody else is blind. He believes that you and I are sheep or pawns or whatever. He believes that we have been indoctrinated by propaganda and that he knows the real truth. And this is the mind of the conspiracy theorist. He's not unique. There's a million people out there on a million different platforms who believe with all of their heart that they know the real answers and everyone else is an idiot. So he believes he's being persecuted for his beliefs and the rest of us are blind. So he played the victim card again last night. And let me see if I can find it, and I'll tee it up, and we'll hear a little bit from Dr. Irving here. Here we go.
To follow up on the promotion of the movie and the book.
Can you please stop calling it a promotion? What am I promoting?
Put it out on your platform.
But I'm promoting it? Do you see me doing? Do you see me
By
in front of
putting it out there,
the
people
title?
are going to say that you are
Yeah, I put it out there
promoting-
just like you put things out there, right?
Yeah, but it's not
You put
stuff,
things out there for a living, right?
right? But my stuff
Great.
is
So
not
let's move on.
filled
Let's
with
move on.
anti-Semitic
Let's
stuff.
move on. Don't dehumanize me up here.
I'm not doing
I'm
that.
another
You're
human
free
being.
to post
I can post whatever I want. So
you can post
say that and shut it down and move on to the next question.
But Kyrie, you have to understand that by
I don't have to understand anything from you.
It's
Nothing.
not me.
Nothing.
By
It's no
posting
people that
what
you're
you
making
did,
up, bro. Move on.
But by posting
Move
what
on.
you
Next
did,
question. Next
anybody
question. Do
is
you guys
gonna
have any
look
more
at
questions
it,
for
and they're
me?
going to say,
You guys have any more
does he have
questions? Because this is going to be a
anti-Semitic
clip.
beliefs?
This is going to be a clip that he's going to marvel at. Is this any more questions?
But you're not answering the question.
Oh, this is another answering your question. Oh my God! Let's make another Instagram clip so we could be famous again. Next question.
Kyrie, basketball related.
I lost Josue. That's it. That was something, man. And again, someone says here grandstanding. No, I don't think so. I think the reporter was asking responsible questions, and I don't think they ever at any point got personal. All they did was ask him to explain himself. Like, you understand, you did what you did. It's a remarkable show, just to watch it. And again, I hate promoting it, and I hate giving him more airtime because the best thing to do is just to not take it seriously. But it makes it difficult to do that because what happened here? He posts this, on his Instagram or Twitter or whatever. This vile movie, and he everybody says something about it. The Nets, their owner, the team. We don't do this. This isn't for us. But then he doesn't take it down. So it's like, well, what about now? Do you know what you did? And his response was, I can do whatever I want. He's like, I don't want to censor history, which means he's believing that these things are facts.
But then he also says, I have a platform, and people listen to me. And then he also says, why do you listen to why do you have so much focus on what I'm doing? Just look at what I do on the court. It's like, well, which one is it, Kyrie? Yes, you do have an influence because you have a platform. Yes, the kids look up to you and they're gonna see what you post and wonder, oh, what is that movie about? What's that documentary about? And reporters have the right to ask you about it. That's just how it works. That's the deal. That's what we do. We talk about the game and we also talk about what you do on social media. It's just part of what you signed up for. And again, I would have loved if Kyrie could have just been ready to respond with a thorough explanation. I get it. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't want to, but to get all defensive and to make it seem like as if you're constantly a target, I just don't agree with that. And Nick Friedel, I give Nick Friedel credit, honestly, because he stuck to his guns. That's what you do as a reporter. You don't back down. And I think that the back and forth, it's just childish when he does that little voice where he pretends like he's talking like if he's you. It's like what he did here at the Garden when people were like, boo him. He went like this. Oh, you left my team. It's like,
well, that's the thing. It's like, let's talk about that.
That shows you're uncomfortable. That shows that someone made you uncomfortable. You don't like this heat. You don't like being,
It's that level of hypocrisy that bothers me a lot. Is being small-minded or latching onto conspiracy theories because you think you know something everybody else doesn't, and is a way to make yourself feel important. The way to make it seem like there's a bunch of other things going on in the world and other people to blame for your problems, whatever's going on. I don't give a crap about that because there's a million people like Kyrie Irving out there. What bothers me more is what bothers me is the hypocrisy of acting like you're there for the little people, but then to literally treat reporters like garbage, your teammates, other people like you're just a dick, dude. It's like
you don't want to explain yourself. You don't want to, inspire the person that maybe he's on the same stuff that you're on, right? Maybe he's like, well, do it for them. Explain yourself for them so you can say, you can be an outlier like Kyrie. But it's like, no, I'm too above you guys.
Educate us, enlightened one. Come on.
Right. Yeah. Let us into your secrets. No, I don't want. Yeah, we all know someone like that. John is like the guy in the barbershop who you entertain his conspiracy theories just to see, where he stands in his logic, and you try to go back and forth, but he doesn't want to do that part. He just wants to say what he wants to say, and he wants to put things up on social media, and we can't question it. It's just like, come on, man. This it's not gonna end the way you think it is. We're just gonna leave you alone. But maybe you're right. Maybe you and Jimmy are onto something. Maybe that's what he likes. He wants to be known for this, and that's his goal on the way of exiting the NBA. I mean, who knows?
Yeah. I think he feels, that the world has shrunk around him enough that I don't think he wants to be part of this NBA thing anymore. Because the reality is, he's a failure at this point. Everywhere he's gone, he's set on fire. And now there's no hiding from it anymore. So you have to live with that. And rather than live with the fact that you suck, and not that he sucks as a basketball player, he's one of the most uniquely gifted people who's ever handled a basketball. I mean, he's an absolute wizard.
Facts.
Whether he makes your team better, I have no idea. But he's an idiot, and he's
one of the
cancer. I mean, the NBA stars marvel at his game. They love that. They think Kyrie is because of his handles, because of his shot making, because of all the stuff he does. He's insane. But
he's an artist, John. He's an artist.
He's an artist. He's a genius. He's above us all.
He's a genius.
We're lucky to walk among him. No, but again, Celtics made the finals. Brooklyn friggin' fell apart. Like, everything is bad. They had 1 year where they could have maybe pulled off a little coup and won it. That year in Brooklyn when everyone was there.
21.
And it didn't happen, and that's it. Durant's toe on the line. Done. Destroyed that franchise, probably destroyed his career. He never plays for a contender again. I don't think he ever does anything relevant in basketball again. James
Harden saw this coming too. He saw this from a mile away.
Kyrie effectively ended his own career with that. He did, because he's done. Who's signing him? Who's signing him next year to big money?
Maybe. That's the only team. Maybe, yeah. If LeBron gets that desperate, which he just might, the way this thing is going. I don't know. Are they playing something? I think they played at 9 or 10. But we'll see if they go 0-6. But yeah, I think if there isn't some sort of splash mid-season, a significant one, they'll get Kyrie. I think they'll target him. But that's it. I mean, and that's a maybe. I don't think it's for sure.
That is a maybe. Let's see.
He'd go. He would go. He would love to change the narrative and say, "Oh, look, I'm back alongside LeBron James, and I'm a winner again." And if they were to go to the finals, then that's a success for sure.
JB, thank you here for the donation. Yeah, I do wonder what Durant thinks. What's interesting about Durant was the reason most people thought he demanded his trade is because the team didn't stand by Kyrie. Rather than Kyrie being a shit show and him wanting to jump ship. When he got mad at the Nets was after they kind of told Kyrie, yeah, we're not going to re-up. If you want out, you can go. And that's when Durant started saying that he wanted out. We're going to bring Bobby back in before we wrap up the show. So I don't know what Durant thinks. I think Durant has some sympathy for Kyrie, has some affection towards him. Didn't think it was ever going to get to this point, but I definitely think at the very least he's like, man, I wish you'd just stop with this stuff. Like, you can be an eccentric weirdo about a bunch of different things, but I wish you'd leave this shit alone. And he can't. The Alex Jones stuff, this stuff, all of that stuff, bad.
Alex Jones was brought up. That was 3 weeks ago. But
he flipped, man. And the crazy vaccine stuff, the Israel stuff, it's like, you can be weird. Just don't be like outwardly dangerously crazy in a way that like is going to make, people run from you, because it's getting bad, dude. So I don't know. Bobby, we brought up Kyrie. We're putting a bow on it. But if you want anything else here, you can have your Kyrie say or let us know about anything coming out of the locker room.
I'll cap it with that. But first on Brooklyn, I had a feeling this was going to fall apart pretty early in the season. Like, it was going to go one of two ways. They were going to boom or bust, and it was more likely they were going to bust. I don't know how you come back from Durant saying fire the coach, fire the GM. Kyrie, I said this about last season. If it wasn't going to be the vaccine, it was going to be something else. And here it is, something else pretty quick into a contract prove-it year, no less. No backing down, no apology really. And the owner coming out and rebuking him pretty forcefully the way he did kind of tells me that, and I think you agree with this, John, Irving is not going to be a Net for long. I think he, whether it's the end of this year, whether it's the trade deadline, or whether it's even sooner, I think this is the end of Kyrie in Brooklyn. Is that the end of Durant in Brooklyn? We'll see. But any fear they have about Durant getting mad, I think, went out the window when he was unsuccessful with his trade request over them challenging him in the offseason.
Right.
And now I think they have a lot more freedom and reign to go out there. Maybe you restock your picks with the Westbrook trade. Maybe you try to bring back a bunch of role players for a guy like Irving, see if someone else wants to take a flyer on him at this point. I think someone will. Someone always comes along and is like, we can get it right with this guy. And but, if this continues with him.
I'll be right back.
If this continues with him, Josue,
I
think he's out of the league pretty quickly. I don't think his game is elite enough anymore. He's a great scorer. He can really put the ball in the basket, but I don't think he's a guy you can start your franchise with, rely on him night in and night out, and have him as one of the guys who's going to lead you to being a top seed, never mind a champion.
Right. I'm with you on that, Bobby. The only team I think that maybe he gets an offer from is the Lakers. And that's just because of the situation that they're going through right now. But again, we don't know that if they're going to do some kind of splash midseason, some sort of trade where maybe they bring in a point guard that they're happy with. But that's the only one. That's a maybe. And even if that were to happen, I think he'd have to take a significant pay cut. And I don't think he's ready to do that. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I'm with you, though, because let's face it. He's not going to be a guy who wouldn't mind playing for a rebuilding team, right? Like, remember how Rondo bounced around the league a lot? People were kind of scared to keep him around. And I mean, not to compare the two, but, just thinking of other options, I don't see Kyrie as being that guy, nor do I see one of those teams saying, yes, we want Kyrie to lead our, rebuilding phase. Like, it's not going to happen. So the Lakers is the only
I don't think
team,
he can be. I don't think he can be a mid-level complimentary guy. And you're certainly not investing in him as one of your stars at this point. That Lakers exception is the only one.
But he won't do it. That's the thing. He's talented.
I don't even know if his game's good enough, though, to invest in him in that level, especially when you factor in all the negatives with him. I mean, we talked about him after game one of the Celtics series last spring. He looked unhinged. And that's before going to the podium and doing what he did yesterday, just back and forth with reporters, saying one thing that he has a platform and then saying that this isn't a platform, he's promoting it on, and just talking out of both sides of his mouth, not making a lot of sense, not backing off is the most discouraging part about it. And you almost wish someone else, Durant, certainly the owner did, but someone else in the league would be like, man, just shut up. Like, stop, because this is getting pretty dangerous. You saw people putting like things about Kanye was right outside of a sports stadium at a college game, and
it got out of hand. I don't know how long the Nets are going to allow it, but I do agree. I think it ends fast. I do want to put a bow on it with some Celtics related stuff, because again, Kyrie conversation isn't for everybody, and we could legitimately go on and on and on forever. So I felt it had to be brought up because it's such a big story in the NBA here. But again, the end to it is, I think, when Brooklyn finally has said they had enough. It's just a ripple effect what happens after that. And could it impact the East, and could it impact the Celtics? We'll see. You just got out of the locker room, Bobby. What was the general vibe?
I'm gonna send you a picture to put up out of the locker room, because this is a great way to end the show here. Exclamation point on it.
Kind of Halloween
yeah.
stuff.
Grant took to the scrum as Batman, and you would really appreciate.
Are you kidding me? Oh,
I'm not sure if you're the biggest Batman fan, but I know you're a big movie guy. He answered every question.
Am I a Batman fan? I'm every fan. Yeah.
In the Batman voice.
Oh, Bruce Wayne.
In complete theme, talking about keeping Boston safe, being alert at all times, and the lightness and the dark. Like, it was great. I wish we had a clip to play out of it. We might in a minute here, but I just sent you the picture of him to throw up in the costume. It was golden. It really was. And it'll be up on our YouTube channel as well for everyone to check out.
Yeah, so let's check out what Grant Williams looked like here. And again, I'm sure it's on Twitter by now and you guys have seen it. But this is our boy.
Grant being Grant. Love it.
That's our guy.
Good game from him tonight, too. You get to wear the suit after a big performance.
It mattered, man. And he walked in that way. You saw that, right, Bobby?
Yeah.
That's what he walked in like.
But you better
good costume. This is a good idea. I never know what to be for Halloween. What's your go-to costumes?
Oh God, I'm terrible at it. I was never a Halloween guy. I was never one of those costume guys. I didn't hate it. I just wasn't one of those guys that had a zillion costumes or like great ideas. I'd always be like running around last second. But with kids, you got to wear stuff, so I kind of wear what they want me to wear. So like I've
Yeah,
been Mr.
you let them
Incredible.
follow the lead. Yeah, that's usually how
Yeah,
it goes.
I was like, I've worn some really dumb stuff before. But this year I'm lame. I'm nothing, which is terrible.
I just sent you a clip, John, if we want to get that up before the show ends of Grant talking in the Batman theme.
That's good.
Hopefully we'll go through.
But just general vibe, just about the game and the performance, areas of emphasis coming in, whether they thought they executed what they were going for. What was the kind of thinking here?
Yeah, I saw Grant in his walk-off before his Batman transition. He was talking about how they need a lock in defensively in this game, and they felt like they did that. Smart talking about it too. Some guys not being as used to all the switching and stuff that they do, but they kind of locked it down over the practice over the weekend, the film session that they had there. And, we're pretty well connected, I thought, in this one, especially in that second unit. That's right where I feel like they've had a lot of the issues, is that second unit where you have your Hauser, you have your Brogdon, you have your guys who aren't as used to that system as some of the other guys out there, Luke too, to some degree. I did also ask Grant about the Luke jumping thing. I don't know if we talked about that on the show, but he said it doesn't work on Batman in practice.
All right, let's hear Batman.
We're just as good in the lights as we are in the darkness. It's the best to have two guys, Superman, Green Lantern, do our best job as a league to not only keep this team secure, but this city safe.
Trying a little too hard.
I kind of had a feeling it was going to go that way.
Tatum didn't Tatum was in the background rolling his eyes.
I appreciate the effort, but like
I told you don't do this, bro. I told you don't.
Right. Like I know that people will lap it up and everyone's going to be like, I love it. I'm in Tatum's eye rolling sort of crowd here. Sorry. I like fun.
Batman's a tough one. It's a tough one.
I applaud the effort, but
you gotta, if you don't nail it,
it's cringy. It's cringy.
Yeah, it sounds like Shaq. You start going to Shaq territory. It's like, nah, that's not it.
Oh, you thought you sounded like Shaq?
A little Shaq vibes.
It's like a little Russell Wilson vibes. That's what kind of like you're trending into that dangerous, like corny, like, no man, I don't like when you do that territory.
Dwight had some of that to him.
Oh, Dwight did, yeah.
I remember people used to be like, "Oh, Dwight's hilarious." I'm like, "No, he's cringe." Like everything he did to me was just like I just didn't think it was funny at all. Yeah.
I'll tell you, if they lost, he couldn't have done that. So at least they won, and he's playing well. He's playing great, by the way. A lot of the stuff we've talked about in terms of him rounding out his game, attacking closeouts, making passes. There was a sequence where he made 2 great passes to set up threes where the game was getting pretty close. Yeah, he's a big part of that second unit. I think you want him to start, John, right? They didn't want. You didn't want them to go double big in the traditional sense. You want a guy like Grant out there with the starters. And I'm kind of glad they kept him in the second unit where he can play off Brogdon, who has assisted most of his baskets so far, where he can make some plays himself with the ball in his hands and set up other shooters around him and defend. Like, I think throughout his career, we've seen he really is well suited for that, like, 7th man role right next to the 6th man. And he's doing a great job with that. I saw it coming into this game, his effective field goal percentage was like 94%. That's probably in that same league now after a 4-6, 2-3 game from 3. And, to have 3 assists with that, which isn't something he could do last year, is great. He had a phenomenal game, I thought.
Who are we talking about?
Grant, the guy in the lower third.
We need Grant. We need him. Yeah, we absolutely do. There's no question.
They missed him Friday.
They missed him. They're not deep enough to miss key guys. That's the problem. They're razor thin right now. You can't be down guys. You just really can't. It hurts.
If I was Tatum, I would have been like, we lost because of you, right?
Against good teams, if you're down 1 or 2 guys, you're going to have a problem. There's going to be a lot of issues like there was at points last year, early in the year. They're not deep enough. With the bigs being down, if you are missing Horford or Grant, you're in big trouble. Really are.
Plus,
big trouble.
He's the best
nice job easing off.
NBA right now. statistically.
Nice job easing off Horford in this one too. They needed to get him some rest in the fourth quarter there ahead of a big game Tuesday. It's pretty cool that after their two awful losses to Chicago and Cleveland, they got Cleveland and Chicago coming up this week. Only the first one on the road, and then a back-to-back against the Knicks Saturday.
Yep. All right, we are going to wrap up the show, guys. We've been going about an hour here, so we do appreciate all of you hanging out with us. Again, make sure you go to our YouTube channel and check out all of our stuff. We have you'll have the full Grant press conference, Bobby and Josue will be doing some of their post game videos, which you can see on there reacting to this game. Of course, as always, make sure you support our sponsors, Athletic Greens. athleticgreens.com/garden. Really important to us to have as much support for our sponsors as possible. If you're at all interested or were ever interested in this product, or we've convinced you, or you're curious, give it a shot here, or at least just check it out. Read it, research it, pop onto the website here if you are thinking of ordering so you can take care of this discount. athleticgreens.com/garden, a free 1-year supply of vitamin D, plus 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. It's worth it, honestly.
Look, you get one of these too.
I love it. You get a little kit with it to take care of everything. But yeah, please check that out. Support our sponsors. We would really appreciate it if you do. I know several of you have. You've DM'd me, and I do appreciate that. Celtics win. They get back on track here. They beat the Wizards 112-94. What's next, guys?
Cavs on Tuesday.
Here we go. Revenge.
Oh, yeah.
I think Mitchell went off again, in whoever they played.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's dropping 30.
Yeah, they beat the Knicks by almost 20 today.
Yep. It's been good. It's been solid. They're fun to watch, and I think it's Wednesday, actually, guys. Is
it Wednesday?
I think they got 2 days off. They're in Cleveland on Wednesday. So a couple days off.
He dropped 38. Jeez, he went off. Yeah, they beat the Knicks.
Couple days off. We'll see you guys back here on Wednesday night. Look for some notifications. We might do a Twitter Spaces sometime between now and then to hear from you guys and take some of your questions. We do appreciate you guys joining us. I know it's Sunday. I know it's
Halloween Eve
football. There's a bunch of different things you could be doing, but you are hanging out with us, and we do appreciate that. So thanks, guys. And that's that. We'll see you guys on Wednesday.